leadership. I am a constitutional conservative. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I believe that our rights are given from God and they're a gift from God. I believe that they are protected by the Constitution and by the people that are willing to stand up and fight for the Constitution. I would also say that having a small business and coming from a farming background gives me the experience and the understanding of what people deal with day after day, and taking those same experiences to the legislative process and applying them to the legislative process as well.
Thank you, sir. Don Bates, what is your vote for you, sir?
Well, I think the question, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems apparent to me that you're only going to vote for a candidate who has political experience, and I respect that. If that's the way you feel, then I don't know that I can change your mind. But what I would tell you is that in '94, Congressman Hostetter didn't have political experience and served nobly. What I bring to the table, and I struggle to answer this question just because I'm not comfortable blowing my own horn. I accidentally said in Evansville that it's because I'm not a politician, and I don't know that Dan and John and Marlon appreciate it. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. But my background's finance, and I think we have too many attorneys on Capitol Hill. And I think we need people who understand the fiscal disaster out-of-touch career politicians have created. And I do, and I know how to fix it.
Mr. Bainey, a reason to vote for you, sir?
I think on the practical side, my background is creating jobs. I actually create business. I'm the only one up here, or any of the candidates, that's actually created millions of dollars and hundreds of jobs. I've done that. I've lived the American dream. I've made it through the tough times. I've ridden the roller coaster. I make a payroll, pay the bills. On a practical sense, it's exactly what our founders were looking for. Look, I'm not a politician, nor am I asking you to vote to send me as one. If you want a politician, you have a few other good choices sitting right up here, period. On the more philosophical side, you have to determine whether or not you're a free man. I'm a free man. And I believe that this year will determine whether or not our nation will be a free nation or not.
Thank you, sir. The next question will come from this lady here in the black. If you can get a microphone to her, please. And it's coming. Your question is to whom and what is it, please?
This question is for Don and Marlon.
Okay.
What is your position on farm subsidies? Do you believe that we should have them or not?
You say that's to Don and Marlon? Okay, we'll ask those two first, and we'll go to the others. Farm subsidies, Don?
The greatest farm subsidy known to man is to do away with the estate tax forever. In 2010, it's zero. Unfortunately, this is the best year to die.
Yes.
And I hate to say it that way. We have to make those tax cuts permanent. And this administration intends to let them expire. And so January 1, 2011, every tax-paying American is going to get the largest tax hike on a percentage basis in the history of our nation. We cannot afford for that to be the case. And so I have a fundamental problem with the federal government handing out money as much as I love farmers. My opinion is the best subsidy I can give you is to completely eliminate the estate tax, because I know what happens when farmers pass off the scene and they're not cash rich, they're land rich, and they have to pass that on to heirs, and there's not the money to pay the taxes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the question now goes to Mr. Stinson.
Well, first of all, as a farmer, I enjoyed serving on the Farm Bureau Farm Bill Task Force, and it is not what it ever intended to be. It has now become a monstrous spending bill, and I am opposed to subsidies. I think that we need to get out of the subsidy business. I can't honestly look at my kids in the face and say, we're going to hand you $14 trillion of debt while I take a couple of pennies now and hand off to them a bleaker future in the higher amount of taxes. I don't think that I'm a free market guy. I believe that you take the subsidies out of the market. We already have crop insurance. I think we need to incrementally move away from them. But I think that we need to get out of the subsidy business because it only manipulates the market. And once you manipulate the market, the landlord takes a little bit more, the seed company takes a little bit of that, and eventually the producer has to take it by law. That's why it does come to me as a farmer. But I would like to move away from the subsidy program.
The question was directed to those two, but Mr. Bainey, would you like to chime in?
Certainly, farming is a small business. And I relate a lot to farmers, though I didn't grow up as a farmer and work on a farm other than detasseling corn one summer, which is my... But last evening I met with some farmers in Sullivan, over 50 farmers there. And in fact, while I'm on your program on Saturday, I'll be meeting with another 75 farmers up here in northern Indiana. And
you're not going to bring them all into the studio.
No, but for breakfast, we're very well. So. But you know, look, I believe in you should know by how I've spoken elsewhere this evening. You probably guessed where I stand on subsidies. No. I believe that subsidies have just enslaved our farmers. I believe that our farmers are very capable and can figure out what's best to grow and how to run their businesses.
Mr. Costello, some thoughts?
Well, as we are $1.6 trillion in debt every single year, we are going to have to look at every single federal program, and no one is going to be spared from what is necessary to do in order to bring that budget into balance. And in 1996, we passed Freedom to Farm in the Congress and signed into law, and it was going to put the agriculture industry into a glide path to effectively eliminate subsidies. However, at the end of the 6-year period, we unfortunately moved back to that process. It was a failure on the part of Congress, and I wish we would have done something different. However, the support was not there to continue Freedom to Farm and continue to a purely market-based system. However, we are to the point now where we are going to have to make these difficult decisions, and even the farmer will take part in it.
Thank you, sir. Great timing. The next question is this gentleman right here, if you would, and then the gentleman behind him, and that will be the end of the questions, and then we will allow for the gentleman to do their closing remarks. Your question, please.
I hope I can ask this right. One of the things was mentioned about General Motors and the bailout there, and when you talk about $1.3 million per job, as a farmer, businessman, that had to be the poorest business mistake you could ever make in your life, because there's nobody can run a business and ever make money doing that. But the other part of the question is whenever you got all this money that was voted to create jobs, and jobs are not created by the federal government. Jobs are created by people not spending for about so long, and they're going to go back to spending, and the federal government takes all the credit for it.
Sure, I appreciate it. It's a good statement. What's your question?
But the question is, are they holding on to that money to buy the 2012 election?
Okay, the money that we voted on, the stimulus money, is it in circulation? Are we hanging on to it for political reasons? We'll start at this end and move down, Mr. Bates.
It's not all in circulation, and what you need to do is elect one of us to the United States Senate. So what hasn't been spent, we can give back to the American people. Well, we have to give it back to China. It's borrowed money, the way it is. Now, look, you're dead on about General Motors, and that was a colossal error, not just on the part of the federal government, but it goes back. That problem goes back for years between the union and General Motors. I've had retirees that told me about the jobs bank, where they literally go to work and sit in a room and play darts because there was no work for them, but the contract allowed for them to get full pay and full benefits. That's what led to the collapse of General Motors. But what we have to do, and I would submit to you that the stimulus package didn't work. It was artificial in nature. Give money back to the American people. They know better how to spend their own money. Ronald Reagan proved that. We can prove that again.